Chastity Saunders, a 6-year-old girl from Miami, tragically lost her life on January 16, 2021, when she was caught in a drive-by shooting while leaving a friend's birthday party. The incident occurred near the intersection of Northwest 6th Place and 55th Street in the Little Haiti neighborhood. Chastity was struck by gunfire intended for 2 adults sitting in a parked car outside the party. The adults survived, but Chastity succumbed to her injuries shortly after the shooting. The shooting shocked the community and led to widespread calls for justice. A candlelight vigil was held in her memory, and local leaders, including State Representative James Bush III, condemned the violence and urged the community to come forward with information. In June 2023, more than 2 years after the incident, Warneric Anthony Buckner, a 22-year-old man already incarcerated on unrelated federal charges, was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder in connection with Chastity's death. Buckner was also implicated in a mass shooting at the El Mula Banquet Hall in May 2021, though charges related to that incident were later dropped. Chastity's family continues to seek justice and remember her vibrant spirit. Her father, Charles Saunders, expressed relief upon hearing of the arrest, but emphasized the ongoing pain and questions surrounding his daughter's death. The case remains under investigation as authorities work to bring closure to the family and the community. On August 10, 2001, in the early morning hours, Joshua was shot while lying in his bed at his home in the Brentwood-Darlington neighborhood. A neighbor reported hearing a muffled gunshot, followed by a scream and dogs barking. Joshua's aunt and legal guardian, Gail Hefford, recalled that Joshua came into her room saying, "Auntie Gail, someone came into my room," before collapsing. He died shortly after at the hospital. Portland police have not identified any suspects or persons of interest in the case. Investigators considered the possibility that Joshua was not the intended target, but no concrete leads have emerged. The case remains open, with hopes that someone will come forward with information. On the morning of May 7, 2009, a welfare check was conducted at the Sandbergs' residence after friends and family had not heard from them for several days. Upon arrival, authorities discovered the couple's bodies inside their home. Both had been fatally stabbed, and a bloody knife was found at the scene. Additionally, Barry's Harley-Davidson motorcycle and a handgun were reported missing. However, investigators noted that the perpetrator left behind other valuables, suggesting the motive may not have been robbery. Despite extensive efforts, including the collection of physical evidence and the pursuit of advanced DNA testing, no arrests have been made in the case. The San Diego Police Department's homicide unit continues to investigate, and the case remains open. In 2023, the department initiated a genealogical investigation in hopes of uncovering new leads. In the years following the murders, friends and family have organized annual memorial motorcycle rides to honor the Sandbergs and keep their memory alive. These rides continue to this day, reflecting the community's dedication to seeking justice. Judy Brown was a 27-year-old woman from Rockaway Township, New Jersey, whose life was tragically cut short. On January 5, 1983, Judy Brown's body was discovered in her 1973 Ford Maverick in the parking lot of Beefsteak Charlie's restaurant on Route 46 in Parsippany, New Jersey. She had been fatally shot at close range with a small-caliber shotgun. There was no sign of sexual assault, robbery, or struggle. Her car doors were locked, and a blanket from her trunk was used to cover her body. She had been last seen alive by a coworker at Bell Atlantic in Ledgewood on the evening of January 4, 1983. The case was part of a series of homicides in Morris County during the early 1980s. While some of these cases were later linked to serial killer James Coetic, Judy Brown's murder remains unsolved. Investigators have not identified a clear motive, and the case continues to be a mystery. Stevie Bates, a 19-year-old from Brooklyn, New York, was last seen on April 28, 2012, at the Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan. She had been traveling back to New York City from Hot Springs, Arkansas, after a cross-country trip with friends. The last known communication with her mother, Vivian Jones, was on April 27, 2012, during a phone call from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Stevie mentioned plans to visit her ex-boyfriend in Brooklyn before heading to her family's new home in Yonkers. After her disappearance, a missing persons report was filed on May 9, 2012. Surveillance footage from the Port Authority bus terminal showed Stevie arriving at 8:51 a.m. on April 28, 2012, but she was not seen again. In September 2020, construction workers excavating a site on Cypress Avenue in Glendale, Queens, discovered human remains wrapped in a blanket. After an extensive investigation, the remains were positively identified as Stevie Bates in March 2021. The cause of death has not been determined, and the investigation remains open. Diana K. Smith was a 21-year-old woman from Rock Island, Illinois, whose life was tragically cut short in 1980. On May 20th, she was last seen leaving her home to go bowling in Rock Island. 6 days later, on May 26th, her badly decomposed body was discovered on the banks of the Rock River in Barstow, Illinois. The Illinois State Police and the Rock Island County Sheriff's Office initiated a death investigation into her case. Diana's story is a poignant reminder of the many unsolved cases that continue to affect families and communities. Her case remains an open investigation, and authorities hope that new information will come to light to bring closure to her loved ones. Diana's case remains unsolved. Larry Spear, a 15-year-old from DeLand, Florida, was tragically abducted and murdered on April 25, 1994. She was last seen getting off her school bus near her home on Deerfoot Road. Later that day, her body was discovered near a burned-down house approximately a quarter-mile from her residence. The Volusia County Sheriff's Office determined that Larry was killed within minutes of leaving the bus. There is not much information available about this case, and despite extensive investigations, the case remains unsolved. In 2024, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement joined the investigation to review leads and utilize modern investigative strategies. Additionally, the reward for information leading to an arrest is $100,000. Wendy Ellinger, a 34-year-old mother of three from Gainesville, Florida, was tragically found deceased in a fire at her mobile home on March 18, 2005, at approximately midnight. She had been last seen alive around 10:30 p.m. the previous evening at her residence in the Canapaha Highlands neighborhood. Upon investigation, authorities determined that Wendy had sustained injuries prior to the fire, leading to her death being ruled a homicide rather than an accidental death. This case remains an open investigation, and authorities hope that new information will come to light to bring closure to Wendy's family and the community.